Education has always been one of the most powerful forces shaping who we are and what we become. It goes far beyond what is written on a diploma or displayed in a frame on a wall. True education is not confined to classrooms, lecture halls, or textbooks. It is a living process that molds our character, disciplines our mind, and strengthens our resolve to overcome challenges. When people attempt to reduce education to a mere certificate, they miss the essence of what makes a person truly educated. It is not the piece of paper that gives you authority, it is the persistence, the discipline, the resilience, and the ability to transform knowledge into meaningful action that creates undeniable influence. In every moment when someone questions your knowledge, your background, or your qualifications, you are being handed an opportunity to show them that education is more than credentials. It is the light that shines through your words, your actions, and your confidence. Throughout history, individuals who lacked formal education have risen to greatness because of their wisdom, discipline, and relentless pursuit of truth. At the same time, people with long lists of academic accomplishments have often failed to inspire because they lacked humility, resilience, or the ability to apply what they had learned. The true measure of education is not in the title you carry, but in the way you carry yourself when confronted with doubt, disrespect, or dismissal. When Rosie O'Donnell questioned Jasmine Crockett's education, it was not really about academic achievement, it was about credibility, authority, and an attempt to shake her confidence. But Jasmine's response revealed something far deeper, that education, when embodied with grace and resilience, becomes a shield no criticism can pierce. When we think of education, we must also think of the sacrifices behind it. Countless hours of study, sleepless nights, balancing responsibilities, working through financial struggles, or overcoming family hardships, these are the invisible parts of education that nobody sees. A diploma may hang silently on a wall, but behind it is a story of struggle, determination, and grit. That story is what gives the diploma meaning, not the other way around. When people attempt to belittle your education, they are ignoring the story that brought you here, but your voice, your discipline, and your confidence have the power to remind them without you even needing to boast. Your journey becomes the proof of your education, more convincing than any argument could be. Resilience is another dimension of education that cannot be taught in any classroom. Life itself becomes the greatest teacher, offering lessons through failure, heartbreak, rejection, and unexpected obstacles. The person who continues to rise after each fall is educated in the truest sense. In that way, education is not a destination, but a lifelong process. It evolves with every challenge faced, every injustice resisted, and every truth spoken when it would have been easier to remain silent. Jasmine Crockett demonstrated this truth perfectly. Instead of being shaken by Rosie O'Donnell's attempt to belittle her, she stood firm, calm, and precise. That ability to remain steady under pressure comes not from a book, but from years of experience, reflection, and growth. That is the essence of education in action. Confidence is the outward expression of inner education. You can memorize 1,000 facts, but without the ability to speak with conviction, they will not inspire. On the other hand, even a single sentence spoken with courage and clarity can move hearts and silence critics. This is why education must be understood not just as knowledge, but as the fusion of knowledge with discipline and courage. When critics attack, when doubters laugh, and when skeptics try to corner you, your confidence rooted in your preparation will carry you through. It is in those moments that your education reveals itself most clearly, not in the form of recited theories, but in the strength of your presence. Discipline is another critical part of true education. The ability to stay focused, to train your mind, and to act with consistency day after day builds a foundation no one can shake. People may question where you studied or what degree you earned, but they cannot deny the results of discipline. Education without discipline is like potential without direction, it goes unused. But when discipline merges with knowledge, the result is unstoppable. Jasmine Crockett showed that discipline in the way she carried herself, the calmness in her voice, and the precision in her words. She did not need to shout, exaggerate, or defend excessively. Her composure became the proof of her education, leaving Rosie O'Donnell silent in a moment that spoke volumes. Another vital element of education is resilience against doubt. Society will always have critics ready to question whether you are good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. These doubts can either break you or build you, depending on how you respond. When you respond with bitterness, the critics win. When you respond with grace, the critics are disarmed. True education gives you the tools to respond with composure and dignity. The calm confidence to stand your ground in the face of disrespect is worth more than any certificate. Every doubt thrown at you is a chance to reinforce your foundation, to show not just what you know, but who you are. In that sense, education is not about the answers you memorize, but about the way you answer life's hardest questions. Education also shapes your perspective, teaching you to see challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. People who are truly educated know that every challenge carries within it the seed of growth. When someone questions your credibility, you can either take it as an insult or as an opportunity to showcase your strength. Jasmine Crockett chose the latter, and in doing so, she transformed an attack into an inspirational moment. That is the hallmark of education, not avoiding conflict, but rising above it with dignity. The educated mind sees every obstacle as a chance to rise higher, every critic as an unwilling teacher, and every doubt as fuel for determination. True education also nurtures humility. While confidence is essential, humility keeps it from turning into arrogance. An educated person does not need to prove superiority by belittling others. Instead, they demonstrate knowledge through patience, kindness, and measured responses. When Rosie O'Donnell attempted to undermine Jasmine Crockett, Jasmine did not retaliate with insults or condescension. Instead, she allowed her preparation and clarity to speak for themselves. That is humility in action, and it is one of the strongest markers of real education. The balance of confidence and humility is rare, but it is what inspires others the most. At its core, education empowers us to claim our voice. Too often, society tries to silence voices that challenge the norm or question authority. But the educated individual understands that silence in the face of injustice is surrender. To be educated is to be equipped with both the courage to speak and the wisdom to know how to speak. When Jasmine Crockett delivered her response, it was not just about defending herself, it was about defending the principle that no one has the right to belittle another person's journey. Her words were not only a response to Rosie O'Donnell, but a reminder to everyone watching that education is a shield, a sword, and a torch all at once. Every person carries an education within them. For some, it comes from universities and books, for others, from experiences, struggles, and personal growth. What unites all forms of true education is the way it manifests in character. Education is discipline that keeps you steady when life is chaotic. Education is resilience that helps you rise after defeat. Education is humility that keeps you grounded when praised and calm when criticized. Education is confidence that empowers you to speak when others want you silent. And above all, education is action, because it is not what you know that defines you, but what you do with what you know. Challenges are an unavoidable part of life, and no matter how much we prepare, they will always come at unexpected times. Doubts from others are equally certain, especially when we step into spaces of influence, power, or leadership. People will test your credibility, question your intentions, and try to find weaknesses to expose. But what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of strength in response. Every confrontation is a stage, every doubt an invitation, and every attempt to corner you a chance to show who you truly are. The way we respond to pressure not only defines the moment, it shapes how others perceive us and how we carry ourselves into the future. A calm, strong, and factual response does more than silence critics, it inspires everyone who witnesses it, leaving an imprint far beyond the moment itself. When faced with criticism or mockery, the natural human instinct is often to retaliate with equal force. We want to strike back, to prove our worth by overpowering the other person with louder words or sharper tones. Yet history and experience have shown us that the most powerful responses are rarely the loudest. Instead, the most powerful are those delivered with composure, clarity, and truth. It is in the moments when someone expects you to lose control that remaining steady becomes your greatest weapon. The calmness disarms them, the clarity outshines their noise, and the truth binds them in silence. A factual response, grounded not in emotion but in preparation, leaves no space for denial. This is the essence of strength under pressure. Refusing to fight with the same weapons as your critic, but instead raising the standard to a level they cannot reach. When Jasmine Crockett was laughed at, doubted, or questioned, she demonstrated this principle perfectly. Instead of losing her composure, she leaned into her preparation. Instead of matching sarcasm with sarcasm, she matched it with facts. Instead of allowing emotions to cloud her delivery, she allowed her clarity to shine through. That type of response does not just silence the person in front of you, it transforms the audience. Everyone watching suddenly sees the power of confidence that is rooted in preparation. Everyone realizes that strength does not need to shout, it simply needs to stand firm. In that moment, the critic loses control, and the one who was doubted becomes the example of resilience. There is a lesson here for anyone who has ever been underestimated, doubted, or dismissed. Challenges are not meant to humiliate you, they are designed to refine you. Every doubt becomes a chance to reinforce your foundation. Every attempt to corner you becomes an opportunity to prove that your preparation cannot be shaken. A strong response is not about humiliating the other person, it is about standing tall in your truth so firmly that no one can deny it. Silence can be forced, but respect must be earned, and the way you handle challenges determines the level of respect you command. People may forget the insult, but they will never forget the strength you displayed in response. Responding with strength requires more than just knowledge, it requires self-control. It is easy to be knowledgeable, it is harder to remain composed when your knowledge is questioned publicly. Self-control is the invisible strength behind every great leader, thinker, and change-maker. It is the ability to remain steady while others try to provoke you, to keep your voice calm when others raise theirs, and to deliver your truth without being carried away by emotion. Self-control does not make you weak, it makes you unshakable. The person who can remain calm under attack holds the real power in the room, because they show that no amount of pressure can break their foundation. A factual response carries unique power because facts are undeniable. Opinions can be debated, emotions can be dismissed, but facts stand unmovable. When someone questions your credibility, they are betting that your response will be emotional or defensive, because that makes it easier to dismiss you. But when you respond with verifiable truth, delivered calmly, you remove their ability to argue. They are left with silence, and that silence becomes the stage for your victory. A factual response transforms the conversation from one of doubt to one of clarity. It shifts power away from the critic and onto the one who came prepared. That is why preparation is so vital, not just in education, but in life. The more prepared you are, the more capable you become of answering challenges with strength. Challenges also give us the chance to inspire others. Many people who witness a moment of confrontation are themselves carrying doubts, insecurities, or fears about being questioned. When they see someone respond with strength and clarity, it gives them courage. It tells them that they, too, can withstand doubt. They, too, can find strength in preparation. They, too, can silence critics with calm conviction. A strong response is not just about defending yourself, it is about showing others that they can do the same. Inspiration does not come from perfection, it comes from strength in imperfection, from composure under fire, from courage in the face of intimidation. Every time you respond with calm strength, you are not only proving yourself right, you are giving others permission to believe in themselves. Doubts will come not only from outsiders, but also from within. The loudest critic is sometimes the voice in your own mind, questioning whether you are ready, whether you are enough, whether you belong in the room. These internal doubts can be louder than anything a person says to you. That is why responding with strength is not only about silencing others, it is also about silencing that inner voice. Every time you rise to the occasion, every time you answer calmly and confidently, you are proving to yourself that you can withstand pressure. With each response, you build inner trust, reminding yourself that you are capable of standing firm no matter the challenge. That inner trust becomes a shield, protecting you not just from critics, but from your own fears. Life has a way of testing us at the moments we least expect. Just when we think we are comfortable, challenges appear. Just when we feel secure, doubts are raised. These are not coincidences, they are necessary tests that reveal what lies within us. Without challenges, we would never discover the depth of our strength. Without critics, we would never have the chance to sharpen our clarity. Without confrontation, we would never find the courage hidden in our preparation. In this way, challenges and doubts are not barriers, they are stepping stones. Each one gives us the opportunity to rise higher, to grow stronger, and to become more unshakable. When someone attempts to trap you in a corner, they are counting on your reaction. They are hoping you will stumble, overreact, or lose your composure. But when you instead remain calm and respond with facts, you flip the script. Suddenly, the trap they set becomes their own undoing. The audience sees the contrast between their attempt to belittle you and your ability to remain composed. The critic's voice fades, and your strength becomes the center of attention. That moment is not just about victory, it is about transformation. It shows that you are not defined by the challenges thrown at you, but by the way you rise above them. A strong response is also a reminder that dignity is never negotiable. You can disagree with someone without losing your dignity. You can defend yourself without losing your balance. You can be challenged without being diminished. Dignity is preserved not in the absence of conflict, but in the way you navigate it. People who maintain dignity under pressure command respect, because they show that their value cannot be shaken by insults or doubts. They demonstrate that true strength lies not in aggression, but in composure. That dignity is what turns a response into a legacy, because people will remember not only what you said, but how you carried yourself when saying it. The world will always have voices ready to question your worth, your ability, and your right to stand where you stand. These voices may come in the form of critics, competitors, strangers, or even people you once trusted. At times, they may even come from within, whispering doubts that try to weaken your confidence. But one of the most important truths in life is that no one has the authority to define your worth except you. Your value is not dictated by someone else's standards, their judgments, or their limited perspective of who you are. It is rooted in the journey you have walked, the battles you have overcome, and the preparation you have committed to in silence when no one was watching. When you understand this, you stop chasing validation from others and begin to stand firmly in your own foundation. Every person's journey is unique, shaped by experiences, struggles, and victories that cannot be replicated by anyone else. What you carry within you, the lessons, the scars, the resilience, is what makes you valuable. Too often, people try to measure worth by external markers: where you studied, what degree you hold, what job title you carry, or what social circle you belong to. But those markers do not tell the full story. They cannot reveal the countless nights of sacrifice, the inner battles fought in silence, or the relentless discipline that carried you through. True worth is not about fitting into someone else's definition of success. It is about knowing your story and owning it without apology. When Jasmine Crockett stood her ground after being questioned, she reminded everyone that your foundation is not built on someone else's approval, it is built on your own preparation and courage. Preparation is the invisible force that cannot be taken away from you. It is what gives you the ability to walk into any room, face any question, and know that you are equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Preparation builds confidence because it reassures you that no matter what challenge is thrown at you, you are not standing on shaky ground. The critics may not see the hours of work behind the scenes, but they will feel the power of it when you respond with clarity and composure. Preparation is not about perfection, it is about building a foundation so strong that even when you are caught off guard, you cannot be shaken. That is why your worth is tied not to what others think of you, but to the effort you have invested in yourself long before anyone was watching. Courage is the second pillar of true worth. It is the voice inside that tells you to keep going even when the world is against you. It is what allows you to speak when silence would be safer, to stand when retreat would be easier, and to hold your ground when others try to push you aside. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite fear. When someone questions your value, it takes courage not to shrink back, not to apologize for your presence, but to affirm that you belong. Jasmine Crockett demonstrated this kind of courage when she refused to let Rosie O'Donnell's doubt define her. She did not respond with arrogance or defensiveness, she responded with clarity, with dignity, with courage rooted in preparation. That kind of courage does not just protect your worth, it magnifies it. Too often, people allow others to define their identity. They internalize the labels given to them, the stereotypes pushed onto them, or the doubts spoken about them. This is one of the greatest dangers to personal growth, allowing external voices to silence your inner voice. The truth is that no one else lives your journey, no one else knows your sacrifices, and no one else carries your exact combination of strengths and experiences. So why should they have the power to define your worth? The moment you hand over that power, you give them control over your confidence, your dreams, and your destiny. But when you reclaim that power, when you decide that no critic's words can outweigh your preparation and courage, you become unstoppable. Your identity becomes self-defined, and your worth becomes unshakable. It is important to remember that the people who try to question your worth often do so because of their own insecurities. They project their doubts onto you, hoping to find cracks in your foundation. They believe that if they can shake your confidence, they can elevate their own. But when you remain steady, when you refuse to be defined by their standards, their attempts lose power. In fact, their questioning becomes an opportunity for you to shine. Every doubt becomes a stage on which you can demonstrate resilience. Every attempt to belittle you becomes a platform to reveal the strength of your foundation. And every critic who expects you to crumble becomes a witness to your unshakable courage. Your journey is proof enough of your worth. The challenges you have overcome, the struggles you have endured, and the victories you have achieved all testify to the fact that you belong exactly where you are. You do not need someone else to validate it. You do not need to fit into their mold or meet their standards. Your story is valid because it is yours, and it has equipped you with everything you need to succeed. Too often, people forget that some of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and innovators were once doubted, mocked, or dismissed. Yet their preparation and courage carried them forward, not the opinions of their critics. Their worth was not defined by the doubt surrounding them, but by the foundation they built within themselves. Another truth about worth is that it evolves through resilience. Every time life knocks you down and you rise again, your worth deepens. Every time you face rejection and keep pushing forward, your worth strengthens. Every time you are doubted and you prove yourself through action, your worth expands. These experiences carve resilience into your character, and resilience is one of the most valuable forms of education you can ever possess. It teaches you that worth is not fragile, it is forged in adversity. That is why people who have endured the most often carry the greatest sense of strength. They have been tested, refined, and made unshakable. No external judgment can diminish the worth that has been earned through resilience. Owning your worth also means refusing to compare yourself to others. Comparison is one of the quickest ways to lose sight of your foundation. When you measure your journey against someone else's timeline, achievements, or standards, you begin to doubt the value of your own story. But comparison is misleading, because no two journeys are the same. Everyone is walking a path shaped by unique challenges and opportunities. Your worth cannot be measured against someone else's, it can only be measured against the strength of your own progress. Each step you take, each challenge you overcome, and each act of courage adds to your foundation. That is why comparison is not only unfair, it is unnecessary. Your worth stands on its own, needing no validation from the successes or failures of others. True worth also requires integrity. Without integrity, preparation and courage lose their power. Integrity ensures that your actions align with your values, that your words are supported by your behavior, and that your foundation is not built on deception. When you act with integrity, even the harshest critics cannot deny your authenticity. They may question your background, your qualifications, or your abilities, but they cannot question the truth of your character. Integrity is what makes your worth undeniable, because it demonstrates that your strength is not superficial, it is real, consistent, and unwavering. People may argue with your opinions, but they cannot argue with the evidence of a life lived with integrity. Ultimately, worth is not about proving yourself to others. It is about proving yourself to yourself. It is about waking up each day knowing that you are standing on the foundation of preparation, courage, resilience, and integrity. It is about carrying yourself with dignity, no matter who tries to question you. It is about refusing to shrink in the face of doubt and choosing instead to rise in the confidence of your own journey. When Jasmine Crockett delivered her response, she embodied this truth. She showed that worth is not something given by others. It is something declared by the way you stand, the way you speak, and the way you live.